Hey, I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, and I'm broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts. Happy Tuesday to you. What a day we had yesterday. What a day we had yesterday. That was like 3 months of political news packed into one day. Absolutely spectacular. What did Trump say? The golden age of America it is on the way. Our I think of it as like the Jimmy Carter thing. Our 4 years of national nightmare are over, or whoever said that. Uh, because it does feel like Carter to Reagan, doesn't it? A little bit for those of us who are old enough. Yeah, it does. So just a spectacular day. I mean, I had a smile on my face all day, like except for one thing, which is actually going to be our first story. So we have a lot of news to cover. This is going to be. I literally had trouble figuring out, and I don't even think I did a good job, which stories I'm going to talk about today and in what order, because it's impossible to cover them all. But the first thing I wanted to cover is a sad story, but we must cover it, sadly. Authorities say U.S. Border Patrol agent was fatally shot yesterday in Vermont. So at approximately 3:15 or so, up in the Swanton sector, which is the northern Vermont border, up near Derby and Derby Line. I think it's in Newport, not Newport, Rhode Island, Newport, Vermont. A Border Patrol agent involved with a traffic stop, and early reports indicated that he had been they have not released his name. God bless him and his family. It was just a devastating loss, especially, like just with everything is going on, the border being a topic. That is a traffic stop. The assailant is also deceased, and authorities have arrested a third person. The FBI is now in control of the investigation. Hopefully FBI 2.0, I hope. And yeah, so that's what happened in Vermont. We do have the coverage from the local, I think this is a local channel up in Vermont. Let's see what they have to say.
Back, your time now is 6:55, and in your news to go, we want to get right to NBC5's Erica Love, who's live in the Northeast Kingdom along I-91, where a Border Patrol agent was shot and killed yesterday.
Erica, what's the scene looking like this morning? You've been there for a couple of hours now. Tell us what you're seeing out there.
So she's at the scene this morning, apparently.
Yeah, Lauren, Adrian, I-91 southbound, the exits between 26 and 27 are still closed. I'm standing right here by the northbound exit ramp to get onto the route. And this police car has been here for a few hours, but both lanes were closed for about 2 hours yesterday after the shooting. The FBI has taken over the investigation, and they say the agent who was killed was on duty at the time. We also know one suspect is dead and another is in custody. At this point, authorities don't believe that the public is in danger. We're going to continue to follow this as traffic continues to move along here.
All right, we don't need the traffic report, but apparently they've opened up the road again, or will soon open up the road. We will keep you posted on this story as it develops. We're going to really kind of watch this as it develops, and we'll bring you more when we know more. So yesterday, let's cut to Christopher Rufo's summary of the events in the last year or so. They impeached him. They deplatformed him. They arrested him, convicted him, targeted his company, raided his home. He survived 2 assassination attempts and easily dispatched Kamala Harris. Now he's renaming the Gulf, abolishing DEI, and preparing sails to drop into Mexico. Christopher Rufo's quick summary of the events of the last couple of years, well put in a very simple paragraph. Did you see yesterday the new second lady of the United States and how she looked? Usha is her name, Usha Vance, and how she was looking at her man yesterday when he was sworn in. I mean, wow. As the quote here says, most men want a woman to look at them like, yeah, Look at her, stunning in this pink jacket coat. Love the earrings. I also love the hair because I think it has a trace of gray in it, which reveals like I think it's kind of like an honesty look to it. Like, you don't have to dye your hair. Like, I don't have much hair. Who cares? Right. And obviously I'm not dyeing what I have, but I thought that clip is she's literally holding the baby and just can't keep her eyes off of JD yesterday was just spectacular, and fantastic smile as well. Love that clip yesterday. That was fantastic. And we're going to go through a couple of quick headlines, and then we're going to talk about some very important stories as they impact Massachusetts that developed yesterday. Obviously, you know that the J6, all 1,500.
Tonight I'm going to be signing on the J6 hostages, pardons to get them out. And as soon as I leave, I'm going to the Oval Office and we'll be signing pardons for a lot of people, a lot of people.
Trump actually waits till you're convicted to pardon you. Biden pardons you, and we'll get to this later, before they even prosecute you. Why would you need a pardon before you're prosecuted? I don't know. Maybe you're guilty. Auntie KK says she looked absolutely stunning. You can tell that she loves and adores him. Yes. Thank you. Yes, Auntie, you're exactly right about that. Apparently, also, any pending or most of the pending J6 cases are over, according to Julie Kelly and Kyle Cheney, who I believe he used to be a Massachusetts reporter. The Department of Justice, with the new Attorney General, Ed Martin, on the signature line, has moved to dismiss 2 pending J6 cases, including one that is currently on trial. So more good news about the January 6th. I will let most of the national news cover that. In the meantime, I got a tremendous kick out of this. This is Tucker Carlson walking down the street in Washington, D.C., waving, shaking hands, taking selfies. If that doesn't feel like winning, like he's taking a selfie with this guy in the plaid here. If that doesn't feel like winning, I don't know. I don't know what does. I just thought that was fantastic. Fantastic. All credit to Frontlines for that clip. In the meantime, in San Francisco, there are some people that were pretty upset. Wait for it. So that's some far out lefties out in San Francisco. It looks maybe they're at what's the name of the park? It was on the Golden Gate Park or something like that. It looks like they're at Golden Gate Park, and they're screaming into the great void because they're very upset about this. They're very upset about this. They're very, very upset. First Lady looking absolutely spectacular yesterday. Like the inauguration dress with the hat, Trump, at some point yesterday, Trump, and I don't know if you've noticed like how many like speeches he gave yesterday, and if you didn't catch the press conference in the Oval later on in the day, that was priceless. At one point he asked Peter Ducey, excuse me. At one point he asked Peter Ducey, has Biden ever, how many of these has Biden ever done? And the answer was 0. And then Trump was like, and it will be 0 forever. Like, it never going to do those. But he gave like a 45-minute, almost 50-hour-long press conference as he's signing executive orders. If you didn't get, that was like later in the day. I don't know where the guy gets the energy from, because it was a long day. My wife asked the same question. Getting back to the First Lady, I did think she kind of channeled her inner Lee Van Cleef with the hat yesterday. If you don't know, the spaghetti westerns starring Clint Eastwood for a few dollars more, and there's a trilogy of them. But the hat kind of reminded a couple of us. I love these movies, by the way, and maybe you do too, of Lee Van Cleef from the movies. Like, she's a badass, right? I just thought the hat was spectacular. And then I thought she went just like ball gown appropriate with the dress. I did see somebody that I thought was really poorly dressed. Do I dare say the word trashy? And that was Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, whatever she is, wife thing. Yeah, I thought she was trashy looking. Like, and there was a clip of like Zuckerberg, like looking down her, like, yeah. I don't like her. Look, way too much plastic surgery, disgusting. Right, but the first lady, she was spectacular in both of the outfits, and she's right. She's great. At one point, Trump said that if the first lady's not happy with him, she calls him sir. She calls him sir. By the way, my wife indicated that the shoes in the first outfit were like Versace or something. I don't know, but my wife was like, "Oh, look at those shoes. You can tell by the color who makes them." And I was like, "Okay, whatever you say." I just thought they were the heels were like, and not that I know anything about fashion because I don't. Like I'm totally inept at buying any clothes. As you know, as your average 50-something-year-old guy, I'm completely inept. I found these shirts, so I bought like I have 3 of these different plaids. But you know, I have no fashion. But she obviously has an eye for fashion, so to speak. All right, let's go to Massachusetts. And I sent this out yesterday, and I just whipped this tweet out in like no time at all because it just came from the gut. And it just seemed to be an absolute truth that you couldn't deny because I've been hearing from Maura time after for years, and she's blaming the Congress and Trump. She's like, if Trump hadn't killed the border deal, and our pathetic media here in Massachusetts just kind of goes for this hook, line, and sinker. It's Trump's fault that we have all these people in Massachusetts. And the lie, the chutzpah to tell such a lie, and the pathetic news media who won't actually cover the real story that we're the only state in the country that has this law, this electromagnet for illegal immigration that is the shelter law in Massachusetts. It just like it all came over me at once and said the fact that Trump closed the border like within an hour of him being sworn in immediately reveals Maura's lie that said if only they passed, remember the border bill? If only they passed the border bill, we wouldn't have this problem in Massachusetts. That wasn't true because the border bill was effectively an amnesty bill. If you didn't know, if you read the fine print, that's why the Democrats were for it. And we didn't need an amnesty bill. We just needed a new president. We got one, and now we need a new governor too. And I was like just shocked how that took off. And the second picture, because somebody asked me what this second picture is. This second picture is the now disabled, if I understand it correctly, this now disabled border app. So you could basically arrange your illegal border crossing on an app. There's an app for that, believe it or not. And yeah, so unbelievable. Just a guy says it will be wonderful. And I think what you're talking about is the new golden era in the United States. So thank you, just a guy. It will be wonderful. In fact, and we have great news. And my friend from Nantucket is going to report it for us. So if you're not following Mary from Nantucket, from Matticat, Mary from Matticat, let's bring her account up here, right here, because she has spectacular news on the offshore wind story from Nantucket this morning. She posted this morning at 6:43 a.m. If you're not aware, she had posted a daily video from Nantucket for like months, bringing you the news about the blade failure that occurred over there in Nantucket this summer. I was really fortunate to go over and spend a couple of hours with her. She showed me around on the beach right there. In fact, this video is taken from the parking lot where we sat and talked for a few minutes. And here she is describing the great news about offshore wind Take it away, Mary.
January 21st, and President Trump has signed an executive order to withdraw from the lease areas and temporarily pause all development and permitting of the U.S. offshore wind energy installations. I'm standing on Connecticut Beach with the Vineyard Wind project under construction over my shoulder. So this is really good news for our ocean, the marine life that lives there, our food security, everyone that relies on this very special area of the ocean of southern New England. Still, we have 64 towers, partial towers erected that have been driven into the seabed. And so we really need that mess resolved so that our ocean can begin healing. This is Connecticut Beach, South Shore, Nantucket Island.
I'm actually going to
It's
just
January
literally, you're going to see me
21st.
repost this as we speak. It's great news. Thank you so much, Mary, for everything that you've done out there to be part of this success. And thank you, President Trump. I was really interested to find out what this executive order said, and we're going to get to that in a second. But as Kimberly Maura pointed out, Trump is going to save the whales from people like you who hate the environment and hate America. Right. Think about that for a second. So the Republicans are going to save the whales. And one of the most important things that I thought that happened when I went to New Bedford for the rally on Saturday was the calling out of the far left environmental groups like the Sierra Club, the Association for the Preservation of Cape Cod. So many of them have been, how do we want to say this, extorted, bought off, whatever, I think complicit in the horrific environmental disaster. These are the organization groups like Conservation Law Foundation, all of them that burn in hell as far as I'm concerned. You're supposed to be the environmental groups, and you took all of this offshore wind money to say that building a wind factory in the ocean was a good idea. It was never a good idea. And shame on you for doing it. Your record as an environmental group is forever tarnished. Close your doors. You stink. So, yeah, and I was really happy that someone basically said the same thing at the rally. The hypocrisy by the established elitist environmental groups is absolutely vile and disgusting. And actually, it's Trump that saves the whales. Good for him. Yesterday, by the way, thank you, Mass Fiscal Alliance, for actually finding, because there was over 200 or something like 200 of these executive orders signed yesterday, and Mass Fiscal Alliance tracked it down, and so I was able to read it. Basically, the order comes in two parts, if I'm not mistaken, to get the fine print here. Part number one is a halting of the issuance, if I understand it, of any future leases. So anybody that's going to be like, hello, Maine, about to sign a lease, no, that's suspended. And part two is anybody that is currently has a lease and is thinking that they're just going to go out there and build their wind factory right now, you might want to pump the brakes on that, because this executive order is requiring a comprehensive review of the ecological, economic, and environmental necessity of terminating or amending any existing wind energy leases. That's the fine print of Trump's executive order yesterday. And remember, there's at least two really good reasons to oppose offshore wind: the environmental topic that we just talked about, and financially. And I think that's kind of where Trump comes from it from a start. The financial, this is just a really bad investment in the religion of green energy. So bad day for Ed Markey, a bad day for Elizabeth Warren, bad day for Janet Mills up in Maine, bad day for Governor Healy, a good day for everybody else. as the lobster fishery and Maine, better Maine logic. Trump saves the Maine lobster industry and finishes the Mills plan to soil our ocean with toxic wind factories. Trump is minutes away from saving the whale species from environmental sellouts, including Greenpeace, who would have made it extinct, the right whale, according to Michael Schellenberger. I mean, this is, there's still a lot to do on this, and for sure, but this is a great day for the defeat, or at least partial defeat, of offshore wind. Now, let's just bring you up to date on the Vineyard Wind, where the blade failure occurred. They're now going to have to remove all the blades that were put up from the factory where the broken blade was manufactured. Yeah, I think I got that right. And so there's at least 22, if I'm not, locations in the Vineyard Wind situation, if I have it right, that have to have their blades removed and replaced. However, the way I look at it is, why don't you, while you're at it, just make it easy on. Just take the blade down and don't replace it. That's the way I'm thinking about it. If you have to take the blades down, you know what? Just pack it in and call it a day, and don't replace the blade. That's the way I'm thinking about it, because it's you. If you have not noticed, there is now a chilling effect on investment in offshore wind. This is fantastic news for the environment, taxpayers, and ratepayers throughout the world. So I'm so glad to have you here, by the way. Great to have you this morning. Anthony Barton reminds us that Milley is fired. I noticed that Milley, his picture got taken down from the halls of the Pentagon, but he did get pardoned by Biden. With Massachusetts resident refunded for the billions of dollars wasted so we can use. Well, we're getting to that, Anthony. We're going to talk about the boondoggle here in Massachusetts that Charlie Baker's about. That's going to be in today's stories for sure. Since we're talking about Schellenberger, the victory of the dark age of government censorship of online speech is coming to an end with an executive order signed by President Trump. Read it and weep. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Bill Gates, Hillary Clinton, Soros, you guys got on the wrong side of a sacred value. As I said, there's so many stories today, it's almost impossible to keep up with them all. There's literally 3 days or 3 months of political news in one day, which is shock and awe. It literally shock and awe. And I don't know if you saw that clip I put up of Elizabeth Warren just this morning. I was listening to her whole 2 or 3 minute thing, but then I just realized the clip itself is priceless. So let's take another listen to that.
Worse.
Hold on.
It's ugly. I know that today feels like a gut punch, and it's going to get worse. It's ugly. It's painful. It's not even surprising.
Let's listen to it again.
I know that today feels like a gut punch, and it's going to get worse. It's ugly. It's painful. It's not even surprising.
It's not even surprising. It's ugly and it's painful. It's a gut punch. Oh, no, Elizabeth. No, you got it wrong. By the way, let me just throw this out to you. If you like this show, just harmless self-promotion at the moment. But if you like this show and you want to support this channel, thank you so much. Go over to jackgately.com and buy or sell our house with me, or join my agency, or take my real estate class, or if you have a news tip, you can drop it in the news tip thingy. So jackgately.com, link in description. Shameless self-promotion, but yeah, I got to pay the bill somehow, right? So jackgately.com, buy or sell a house, join my agency, take my real estate class, or drop me a news tip. Okay, thanks. All right, back to the good news, or whatever news. I don't know if this is super news, but it is revealing. I don't know if you know this, but the U.S. attorneys from all over the country have been prosecuting people for pandemic fraud with the loans and the unemployment insurance. There have been a lot of people, but the number one theft of pandemic money, and I think that's the only fair way to describe it, is from our former governor here in Massachusetts, Charlie Baker. Charlie Baker. Now, remember, Charlie Baker used to be the Secretary of Administration and Finance during the Weld administration. He's a manager. He saved Harvard Pilgrim. He's a manager, right? He's supposed to know the fine print of all the spreadsheets. That's why we hired him as the governor. He is not some, how do I want to say it? He's not some, celebrity. He's not like an Arnold Schwarzenegger guy that became the governor. He's a wonk. He's a dork that's tall and plays basketball. He's a manager. And he's supposed to be one of the best managers, literally, in the state, if not the country. Yet somehow, he ended up to spend $2.5 billion out of the state pandemic money on unemployment insurance. Oh, no. That was a big no. Big no. If any other way to describe it is, let me just put it this way. If this guy was a small business owner running an ice cream shop and he did the kind of parallel comparison thing, he would be prosecuted by the federal government. And now he is the author of the largest pandemic fraud in Massachusetts history, $2.5 billion. And who pays? You and I pay. From what I understand, the settlement, which is going to be stretched out over 10 years, the unemployment insurance fund, in other words, employers here in Massachusetts have to pay the principal of the money, and which I think they bargained that down to about $2 billion. And the state, which is you, has to pay the interest. If I understand how the deal is brokered by the Biden administration in the Healy administration. Now, to be fair, Healy has taken a lot of flack for this because they just see the headline and they think it happened on Healy's watch. But the theft of the money happened on Charlie Baker's watch. So I think it's important. I saw a lot of headlines yesterday that were not attributing the theft to Charlie Baker. Is just like state owes feds $2.5 billion or whatever. State owes, I think they got it down to $2.1 billion. State owes feds $2.1 billion without any proper attribution. That it was actually Charlie Baker who, what's the term? Effed this all up. Chester Tam asks the question. So the surplus we could have had went to the unemployment situation, but Healy decided to use it to fund the illegals, Chester asks. And yeah, Chester, that's about the size of it. Yeah, remember, money is fungible, right? So yeah, effectively, that's the way it's worked out. Yes, exactly. President Trump said he will reinstate all military members who were dismissed for refusing to comply with orders to receive the COVID-19 vaccine during the pandemic. Trump says troops dismissed for refusing the COVID vaccine will be reinstated. And I really thought that this had a Massachusetts angle to it, because obviously here in Massachusetts, we're one of the most aggressive states to enforce vaccine mandates and to deny religious exemptions. And, I've been following this story for quite some time. And this is a tweet that I definitely thought there was a parallel in Massachusetts. And it comes from, I believe, former trooper Philip McLean. Odd that once suspended, our income was deprived and subject to a 5-month trial process for maintaining our sincere beliefs over his mandate. They denied us unemployment. So they're talking about the situation where troopers and other Massachusetts employees were denied the ability to, actually, I'm going to put that up there on the screen, denied the ability to be a trooper. And we heard a lot of nurses. You know the story. And I think that our next governor, just like President Trump reinstated these military folks with back pay, I think our next governor needs to reinstate these state troopers and other state employees that fall in the same category with back pay and full honor. Here's Trooper Philip McLean, suspended without pay for 142 days. April 8th, 2022, dishonorably discharged. These men and women that serve us don't deserve to be treated like this. And our next governor must reinstate these troopers and other state employees that fall into the same category with full back pay and with honor. Yesterday, our United States senators, Ed Markey, who had a really bad day. At one point, I'm pretty sure Trump said the Green New Deal is dead. And of course, Elizabeth Warren. They are so awful people. It's just shocking that they represent us. Horrific. But both of them voted against the Laken-Riley Act, which otherwise passed 64-34. Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely shocking. Sean Powers, I think maybe some of you know his name, from Braintree, pointed it out. Thank you, Sean, for posting this tweet. Absolutely horrific. It's just unspeakable, the people who voted against this act. As we discussed last week when the House passed it, almost everybody in Massachusetts voted against it. I believe that Lynch voted for it, if I'm recollecting. And wasn't that the one where Moulton abstained? Coward. How dare he? I have more respect for you if you just actually stood up and voted no than if you're so pathetic that you voted abstention, that you just abstained. You didn't go, or you skipped. I don't even think if you vote abstain, I don't think that means you skipped. I think that literally you stood up and said, I abstain. That's how I view it. Pathetic, Moulton. Yesterday, literally as Biden was leaving the White House, he pardoned Fauci and Milley, the whole J6 committee and their staff. He also pardoned a significant number of his family in a preemptive pardon. And it was just absolutely disgusting what happened yesterday. And, if you were proud of what you did, then you wouldn't wait to the very last moment to do it, when you were hoping that what you did was overshadowed by, obviously, its inauguration day. Let's take a look at this special for a quick second. It's about Fauci and the crimes that he may have committed.
Make sure you wear a mask.
Remember how some government officials handled the pandemic?
One of the ways you could do it, if you would like to, is put a cloth mask over.
The so-called experts and the media made lots of mistakes.
Hollywood Beach shutting down. The city is closing the beach and the...
Don't surf by yourself. Remember how they arrested the guy in the ocean? Remember when Charlie Baker said that you had to wear a mask at 2:00 in the morning when you're outside walking the dog by yourself, right? All the things that they did. Remember all the emails that were released in the beginning that said, Fauci said, oh no, masks are useless. Remember that? Remember all the media lies that went with it? Now, from what I understand, these are federal pardons, and it doesn't necessarily protect you from state level prosecution. So we'll see if that goes forward. Now, on the pardon near the bottom, because I read it, it basically says, or the statement basically says, this does not imply guilt. Yeah, it does. And Jack, you're just saying that because you're a conservative. No, I'm not even, because I'm just like team reality. But here are some Democrats, and we're not going to listen to this whole thing, but here are some Democrats.
Somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime, who's just an innocent person. Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person.
But no, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family.
Is there an innocent explanation for someone to seek preemptive pardons for family members? Would you do that?
Would you do that? Libs of TikTok, a nearly 3-minute supercut of Democrats bashing the concept of preemptive pardons, which is exactly what Biden did yesterday with his family, Fauci, Milley, the whole J6 staff and committee membership. Absolutely, positively disgusting. Yeah, I would have had more respect for him, or some respect, I guess, if he had done it last week. But to literally do it almost like you're in the car, you're in the limousine, driving down Pennsylvania Avenue, and you're issuing these, it's disgusting. By the way, did you see the wheels, the tires on the Beast? I had never noticed how big the tires on the Beast are. They're giant. I imagine they've got like double or triple redundancy in them. And imagine how much that thing weighs, the Beast limousine, of which, of course, they have several. It's just absolutely spectacular. Oh, just a quick aside. One time in Middleborough, I actually got to go into Lyndon Johnson's presidential limousine, and it was wild. Why? It was just spectacular. And you know who you are that let me see President Johnson's limousine. It was awesome. Presidential with the seal embossed in the leather and the telephone in the back. It was just unbelievable. Right out of the 60s. Spectacular. Our governor here in Massachusetts is pro-abortion. Kathleen Clark was upset that the federal government, very shortly after Donald took over, deleted the website called reproductiverights.gov, a website to help women find health care and understand their rights. No, it's not, Catherine Clark. By the way, how's your child doing? Are they still in jail? It's a pro-abortion website is what reproductiverights.gov is. And it's gone, right? It can't find the server. And then Maura Healey prints out, that's why we have mass.gov abortion access is staying up. So if you go over here to abortion access, you can find that abortion is safe, legal, and accessible in Massachusetts, according to mass.gov. And there's all sorts of information here. I didn't know about this that informs you of your rights. Doesn't mention anything about the baby's right. I wonder why that is. They're not, the rights of the baby not mentioned on this page. But it informs all the rights of the mother to have an abortion. You even have the right to an emergency abortion care. And I mean, if the words abortion care don't make you throw up, I don't know what. Abortion is not health care for the child. Then they come down to the lie that, where is it here? Beware of anti-abortion centers. Beware. Because according to mass.gov, they seek to prevent people from accessing abortion care. No, they don't. They're not going to block you from accessing abortion. If you visit a pregnancy crisis center and you still want to have an abortion, you can walk out of the building and you could go down to the street to the abortion doctor. They don't prevent you from seeking it. They try to convince you, which is fine. You're right. That's why this is what I think a lot of people call viewpoint discrimination. And I'm not a legal expert, too smart to go to law school on this topic. But our new governor, whoever that has to, they should also take down this webpage, right? They should also take down this webpage. And they should stop the commercials that are running that, heaven forbid, you suggest that maybe the abortion isn't the right choice for you. There's nothing wrong with that free speech. That if you want to go out and say, hey, maybe you shouldn't think, maybe you should consider something else. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem with the far left is they can't tolerate dissent of any type. Here in Massachusetts, nothing is going to change with abortion law in Massachusetts, like on the horizon for a long time, right? Basically, the Dobbs decision sent it to the states, and Massachusetts is a pro-choice state. But there's a huge difference between being a pro-choice state, where you think that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare, like the Bill Clinton position, to what we've really got with the far left now in the person of Maura Healey, is that they're pro-abortion. And that's a moral ground that is like literally disgusting. And again, from a far left point of view, a totalitarian point of view, they cannot tolerate any dissent, especially in a state, I don't know what the percentage is for pro-choice in Massachusetts. Let's just say 70%, whatever the number is. The chances of that law changing in Massachusetts extremely unlikely. Yet with a super majority, they absolutely cannot tolerate anybody's dissent. And that is what's wrong effectively with the American left, is that they've departed from the bedrock values of what I would call, or Dave Rubin would call, a traditional liberal. Those have been departed. There was a piece yesterday, and I wanted to mention it yesterday's show, and I forgot to bring it up today, from John Keller, who said that the inauguration and Martin Luther King Day being on the same day was an unfortunate coincidence, I think is the way I said it. I don't. Someone could fact check me on exactly how he phrased it. But actually, Trump yesterday was really clear that he wants to embrace Martin Luther King's dream. And he specifically had a line yesterday where we're going to return the federal government back to a merit-based employment system. In other words, paraphrasing Dr. King, and also his favorite or famous, we're going to judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of the skin. And where the left has diverged from their traditional liberal view is by seeing everything through this racial lens, and then they add on this everybody's aggrieved, so that they can kind of cobble together some type of very angry, victimized majority. And it seems as if that is ending, at least on a nationwide basis, which is now going to be our new golden era. I'm John F. Gately. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.